Hey, welcome to the channel, welcome to the stream, and another chapter of the tank that never ends. That's that guy there, the M2A3 Bradley. We already know, it's been so long. Run the intro, let's get going. Okay, we are back. And we are going to continue on this build. Continuing on the tank that never ends. That is right. We're still working on the turret. This is what? Turret part 4, I believe this is going to be. Yeah, turret. We're working on our turret. Our turret right here. More turret armor pieces. So we got to step 52. We did the beginning of it. And so we got to continue. We got to go step 52.2, something like that. Yeah. Let me change the camera and let's see what we got going on here. Okay. So step 52. My camera's looking a little blurry for some reason because it hasn't focused. You got to focus. Focus. Okay. So we started going around on step 1 and we got these parts put on after doing all those little photo etch things and got this part all done on 51. So 52 we started doing this, okay? And we put on the H34 and 18 of this section here. Okay, so let me separate these two. I put them together for when I put it aside so I don't have so many things all sitting around. Okay, let's close our hatch. There's that there, okay? That's H34 and 18. We did that part. And we put on this panel here, this one, number 36. We did that, and that's right there. So we did that. So we've got to go a few little things around there. Let me grab my box. Not that box, you dirty-minded people. We need stuff off of our F tree and J, F and J. Okay, the few pieces we have here, they are done. Okay, so let's go through this and see what we need to do. We need to open up my glue bottle. We're going to take our F11 and our J9 and we're going to do a similar thing that we did last time with this piece here. And we're going to put J9 through the bottom into his little slot and we're going to glue him in. We're going to do that first. Okay, little glue in there and then kind of grab on him, pull him down nice and flush. He's nice and flush and flat on that edge now. Okay, and that also makes him nice and straight there. And then we're going to take him and we're going to put him in his little panel over in the back here. So we'll line up our two little pegs. Two little pegs at the top here going to these two little holes. So line those up and give them a squeeze to get those holes lined up and get those pegs in the holes. There we go. Nice flat flush. There we go. A little bit of glue. And we'll put some glue on the top. And a little squeeze just for added measure. Should be pretty much flat on there without any gaps. My one edge here is kind of wanting to lift off, so I'm gonna put a little more glue there and hold it down for a sec until the glue can just do its thing. Meanwhile, J34 goes onto the side over here. J34 is our little rectangular block. And it's got a little, looks like maybe a latch that's going over the top right there on the one edge. And that's going to be at the top, okay? Which means if we flip over, the side that has the smaller hole is going to be towards the bottom. If we can get this to focus, please. The smaller hole, which is currently, when you're looking at it right now, it's at the top. It's going to be at the bottom and go over that little peg. Right there, it fits nice and flush. Can I let go of this one now? Yes, I can. We're going to put some glue around that. There we go. I tell you, they really utilize every spare spot. There's no room for anything else. There's something in every spot on this thing. Okay. And lastly, we have the tarp, which is one of the rubber pieces. And he's got to go over the top here. Okay, so I can't actually put the tarp on. And I'll show you why. If we take our two halves and we just put them together here temporarily, it's going to go... How are you going to go? You're going to go like that, okay? And that's how our top is going to go on. Our tarp has... This is a little top heavy now. I'm just going to lay him down like this. Our tarp has two little holes in the bottom of it. I don't know if the camera's really going to pick them up, but there's one right there and right there. If you get it at the right angle, you might see the light coming through. There you go. You can see those two little holes in the tarp, okay? Those are supposed to go onto these two little pegs here on the, on this plate. It's supposed to go onto that at the top. And therefore, if I put that on there now, like this, and glue it on, well, guess what happens? I won't be able to pull this off because of things, because of reasons, because it'll be attached. They don't say anything about not gluing it, so they want you to glue those two pegs, but also glue it to the back here. I guess so the tarp can kind of flex as you move the barrel up and down. I don't know how much room we're actually going to have though. If I put this barrel straight out, and I put this tarp on there, on his spot, yeah, he kind of lays down just perfectly flat, like that. And then, we'll just hold this down, pretend this is glued, and when I lift it up, the tarp will flex. And that's cool. That's a good way to do it, and that's great. But because I got painting to do and stuff like that, and glass pieces to put in, I'm not painting this yet, so we're not assembling it quite yet. So let's get her taken apart here again, very carefully, and put our bottom half away. Clearly I need to paint the inside here because that looks dumb, but that's not today. Not today. Let's just put our tarp aside here, and we look on the next half here. This is actually the bottom half, so let's put the top half aside and grab the bottom again. So you got it underneath here. We've got another J34 going on there, but we need a couple more pieces, H11 and G27. So let's grab those. Okay, so we got our three pieces all cleaned up, just like that, and we're ready to install them. So J34, we're going to do the same thing as the other one. Same thing, the smaller square is going to go onto that. Just like so. And put a little glue on there. Hold that for just a second. There we go. Okay. Now I actually have it upside down. That was upside down. And that makes sense why it wasn't really fitting properly. There we go. So pay attention to that, unlike me. Again, So in the diagram, they show the little latch at the bottom, and that's where I've got it now if it's upside down, which technically would be the top if it's facing the right direction. Okay, so still on the bottom here, we're going to take our H11 and put him here, line up his little pegs. If they'll line up, come on. Oh, he won't go because he's got a nasty ejector pin sticking out here. Remnants of an ejector pin. So let's just grab a file and make sure this is going to be flat. Where's my file? Woohoo! If you smash your face. Yes, okay. Let's try this again. I'm going to go now. Oh yeah, suddenly it goes in. Perfect. Glue, please. There we go. So I'll give him a little squeeze just to make sure. There's that one. And then we got G27. Got a big square block on him. Gonna line up in that little hole right there. I said it's gonna line up in the hole right there. Now he's actually got some pegs to stick him up, so he's actually raised up a little bit. It doesn't sit flat. I'll show you once I got some glue on here, holding him down. Okay, you'll see he's not flat, he sits up. Okay, so you have to apply the glue in these four corners. And again, I'll just give him a little bit of a squeeze to hold him down. And there we go. Okay, so that is it. That finishes off step 52. So I will put our two pieces back together because step 53 is different components that are going to be going on to our turret that we don't have to actually worry about assembly of right now. It's kind of weird we got that sitting there. I wonder what's going to go there. Oh, it's probably that rocket launcher or whatever that sits on the side there. I don't know if it's a rocket launcher, but it's something. It's a big thing that sits there. Okay, let's get our Gunner's Integrated Sight Unit, or ISU, and the Blue Force Tracker, the BFT assembly. Let's get our parts for this and get started on that. J35s. Oh, I need photo etch. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so we're going to start with these little pieces here, this little section here. Simply because I got tiny little pieces that got to go onto these hinges, and then I got to put photo etch in there. The photo etch is going to go into the middle here like this. So that's simple enough. And then our little J35s look like they're going on the ends of our little hooks there. So I'm not sure exactly if there's any particular spot that they're supposed to go or how they're supposed to really line up. It looks like they just kind of stick pointing down in that spot there. They're a little hard to clean up the nubs off of them because these things are really small. And so it's kind of like, how much do I clean up off them and how much do I just leave? So anyway, we're going to put a little glue into one of their spots here, like that, and we'll see if he wants to stay in his home. Kind of like that, and that's pretty much it. I think it's going to be good enough. just kind of sit on there. And call it kind of done. To put the photo etch on, of course, I need CA glue. And I don't want to cheat. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to put the CA glue directly onto my applicator instead of getting my little cup that I normally do. A little bit more, so I want to go all the way around the edge. There we go. And now drop him down. My photo etch piece doesn't seem to be very flat. So I'm going to try and hold it down on this edge while I press it down on this edge. Kind of like, how quickly can you hold it down and get it in its spot while the glue dries? Hold it down long enough that the glue actually holds it. Without gluing your finger to it at the same time. That is the trick, isn't it? I think I got it though. I had a little bit on my tweezers and the tweezers wanted to stick together. That's not quite down, is it? I gotta take a look at that. It's a tricky thing with CA glue, you know? You put enough on and you squeeze it and it runs out the edges, it gets all over your squeezer, and then it's gluing your squeezer to the thing at the same time that you're gluing your piece down. And it really kind of sucks. CA glue is like that though. And you know, what can you do? You need to use it. So I think this side's not going to be visible, but at the same time, you know, I don't really have the liberty of putting any on corners and stuff like that. So I think that's just going to be good enough like that. So that's that piece. I don't need any more photo etch, at least not now. I need a new piece of paper towel. Alright, so let's get this section off. Now we've got decals that need to go onto the doors, but we're not going to worry about that right now. For now, let's just get this assembled. Awesome. Parts off of our G, our H, and our F trees. Let's get those, okay? Okay, let's put our parts together. We're going to start with our F24. It's basically our lid. Going to line up our pegs with our holes. It's actually going to be suspended up in the air a little bit, just like this, okay? Not that the camera wants to focus, but yeah, it's going to be in the air. Sorry. Sometimes the camera just doesn't know what to focus on. So, bing, bing. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. Sitting up in the air, okay? Now, we've got a side panel to put on. The G31 is going to go on like this. I will glue it from the inside. That. That gives us a third side. And we can put our little assembly on. It's going to go on the front. Like that. But I didn't clean him up good enough. I got a nub here that's going to interfere with how he fits. I must have cleaned up only one side. Or I just forgot to clean it all together. That's very possible also. Let's put him back on. Now there is one on both sides that I forgot to do. So I just cleaned up that one. This one I didn't see. You know, I looked at it a second ago and I didn't see it. As soon as I put it on, it's like, oh, there it is. Much better. Okay, glue. That'll hold them in that spot. This side needs to be pushed down. There we go. And a little glue from the top on the inside here, just to help them stay where he needs to be. And there we go, the front is on. Okay, now we have our two doors. Our two doors, we got a skinny and our fat. Our skinny one is G39. Now it looks like it's there. It's actually gonna peg in somehow. But at the same time it doesn't. Yeah, they don't actually. You got a choice how you're going to have them. They show them here in the next step being opened, but you can actually have them closed also if you want. It's up to you. Since there are decals to go on them, and the decals are supposed to go on the inside, if I choose, hey, let's just close it up, it makes it kind of like, well, why'd I bother with the photo etch? Why is there photo etch on there if I got them closed? But you could. If you don't want to do the photo etch, you can glue them closed and just leave them like that. That is your choice. I could do one open and one closed, kind of half and half, you know. That's always a possibility. But I think I'll just do them open. I'll just do them open. Put a little glue on there so that when I put them on there, he'll be a little more inclined to stay put when I let go. There we go. So now it's just a matter, what position do I actually want it open? They show them basically in a 90 degree, and I think that's good enough. I'm close enough to 90. It's a little bit more than 90, but it doesn't matter. Famous last words, doesn't matter. As I find out later on, it'd be like something that is going to be right beside it, and if this is more than 90 degrees, it interferes, you know. That has happened to me before. So anyway, there's that. We have one final piece. It goes on the back here. Our H15. Looks like he's going to go into this little rectangular slot right here. So I'll put some glue there so he'll stay put when I let go. that. That's his home. And then just a little more glue to make sure. There we go. As for our doors, I need to apply a little more, because doing that tiny little amount that I did at the beginning is definitely not going to be enough. So there we go. There's our little, what do they call it? The ISU and BFT assembly. There you go. Okay. Now, with it being open, they want me to put T11 in there. T11, of course, is a clear piece, which I'm not doing anything clear until final assembly. So that means we got to wait. We can move on to step 54. I'm not going to be able to do much with step 54 because these U pieces, U3, U2, U4, these are clear, and Q5 needs to be painted. So I can't really do anything with it. But with this step over here, I think I can. Let me grab these pieces and see, because this looks like an assembly here, and it's curved. So what is Q5? Where's my Q tree? Even though he's like this, they want you to bend it. They want you to bend him. Like, really? You want me to break it? They have got little slots in here, I guess, to help convince it to bend, but we have to clean this guy up a little bit here. He's got little marks and things. And we have to get Q11 and Q8, and we're going to make a little assembly here. So let's just get these. That is it for the Q tree. There's no more things on the Q tree. That's it. We're done with Q. I've got my 3 parts, and again, U3 is a piece of glass I can't put in, but let's see how these are supposed to go together. We've got our little bracket here that this guy is supposed to go into. He's got this long thing sticking out of him, but they don't show that in the diagram. This might be a part that's supposed to come off, and it looks like it is. So that's going to come off. Because you got these 3 little tabs there, there, and there that are going to go in these 3 holes. And so this definitely has to be bent like this and like this. We're basically doing a soft break on our plastic in order to fit this in. And go like this. Line them up on the tabs. Line up our little tabs. I said line up our little tabs. They don't want to go in their holes. Our tab holes are a little bit small. There we go. It actually snaps in. Is this one going to snap in? Hey, it snapped in place. How about that? Okay, so that's that. I clearly I got nub cleaning to do here. Like, what's wrong with me leaving this looking like that? I know better. File that down nice and flat, smooth. When you get to points where the plastic is thin, sometimes just filing it is just the better way to go. There we go. Okay, so that's in. let's put a little glue on the bottom there and make him nice and secure. Okay. Now I can put glue up through the holes here in the bottom too, just to make sure it's going to stay. There we go. Okay, I'll push down just to emphasize that this is where he's going to stay forever. Okay, and then we got this piece with more nasty nubs. We got nubs everywhere on these things, like, come on. Oh, kinda. Yeah. Alright, so he is going to go on one side here, and he goes in this direction. He goes sideways, like this. They don't really do it justice on how it's supposed to really lock in. It looks like it sits like this. To the side. How about just like that? Just like that. Didn't even need any glue for him to stay in his home. Nevertheless, he's going to get some glue on him so he stays in his home. It's important once you get in your home that you stay there. Okay, so there's that. That is the Commander's Protection System assembled minus the glass. And that is step 54. There's a couple of decals. Obviously, I gotta paint things first before doing the decals. And obviously, I'm doing a lot of painting before I get anywhere with the glass. So our next step is the Commander's Independent Thermal Viewer, or the CITV assembly. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut this a little bit short today, as I kind of have to get going soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab, I can't even assemble this part because it's got a T10 clear part in there that I can't do. And I got to paint the inside of it black, so I can't even assemble that. But I can assemble this part, getting off our F's and our H parts. F and H. Okay, so let's get these parts assembled. We're going to take our F12 and our F23, and it's going to go down on top right there. But what we're going to do first is get the other two parts assembled here. F28 and F3, they go together like this, and it looks like he's supposed to get in that channel a little bit. Of course, if I've got nubs that I didn't clean up, he's not going to fit. I stress so much, guys, the importance of cleaning up your nubs so that your parts fit together without any issues. Nubs just cause issues. And if you've got an issue, you might need a tissue. Okay, so let's take this off. I'm glad that you're eager to stay in your home, but it's not your time. This is going to go in, it's going to slide in right in there. Right in there, in that little tab. Okay, so you see there's that little knob right there, a little button in the middle at the edge. That's where this slots onto, like so, like that. Okay, and just make sure it's flat, it's nice and flush. There we go. Press down. Good. Whoop. You prefer to stay with my fingers? As much as I can appreciate that, you need to go in your new home. This is going to be your new home now, and you need to stay there. And now this guy can go on top. We got a bit of a lid. Isn't that fancy? Do. Just like that. Not that you can see because, well, my camera's an asshole. There you go. Okay, that's this. And that's this part that would go onto this little bucket here, but we're not doing that yet. I think we can probably assemble this little section here and get that taken care of. Oh, I forgot a piece. H14 is going to go on the back here. H14 is a little handle. I forgot. He's sitting there. He's tried to sneak away. He's still trying to sneak away. He doesn't want to be picked up. Come on. He doesn't want to be picked up. That's him there, H14. Look at you being all stubborn. Come on. There you are. There are two very faint little divots in the back. I'm going to try and do that. There we go. Two little divots on the back of it to allow you to put H14 on there and maybe get the camera to focus like that. Okay, so that's that. Put him aside. Let's grab these parts. More F and G parts. Okay, so with these done, well, I forgot one part. We're not done. F29. I already got F29. It doesn't look like F29. Yes, it does. I'm just dumb. Okay. This guy. F19, F29. Going like this. Okay. Get them lined up. Put a little glue in there. Okay. That's that. G37 goes on the outside here. I don't know if there's any particular way it's supposed to go. It doesn't seem to matter. This little is just going into that little slot there. So just make sure he's straight. There we go. Okay, G37. And then we're going to put F13 on top. Pretty easy to line that up. Okay. And then tip it over. We're going to put a poly cap inside here. and then put F21 on top. He's got a little notch just inside there, and that notch is going to get lined up right there with that little hole. So let's line that up. Perfect. And then glue. Now it warns you not to glue the poly cap, so don't glue the poly cap. I don't know if that would actually do anything, if regular hobby glue would do anything with a poly cap, but you're not supposed to glue it anyway. In any case, that is that step finished, looking kind of like that. Okay. There you go. And that would be this piece that is the bottom part that's supposed to go onto that, which technically our poly cap is going to go on like this. It's going to go on there like that, but we got to get this assembly done first up top here. But I'm going to have to take care of that next time, okay? Or maybe not even next time, because that's got glass that's got to go in there. That little box has to wait, and that's just the way it is, right? There's a couple of things, like I could probably put the box on there. Let's F8. Let's grab F8 just to see. That's G. Where's my F? F8. That is this guy here. Okay, so F8. Don't trim off these little tabs. They show the little tabs here in the picture, so don't get rid of those. At least not yet. You do want to clean up the nub though, obviously. So the glass is supposed to go in right in here on the front, and you're supposed to paint any side here, paint this all black, which kind of makes me think, why not just, who cares if the glass is there? You're going to paint everything in black anyway, you can't see it. But I guess it just makes it so it's like a gloss thing or whatever, and you see that. But this guy is going to go onto this. This little step is going to go in here, like so. And then F25 is going to go onto this side. So I can do that. We can get a little more assembled on here. F25. We can get a little more assembled, especially before I take off here. We can get a little bit more done, just a little bit. So F25, their little tab, is going to go in that slot and then line up like this. And we don't glue this in. Leave that like that. We're only going to glue the guy F25 into the bottom here. And we're going to leave that like that. And that's why you leave these little tabs on the side, because that's limiters. Well, at least the one is anyway. So let's glue F25 in. He gets the glue treatment. Like that. And so we got our little kind of a bucket thing. Like that. And then this goes on top of here. Let's push that down. Be a little careful. I did just glue it after all. Okay, and there we have it. So except for the lid and the glass, this step 55 is done. Just like that. And this assembly is going to go on later on, but that's going to have to be next time. So we're moving on to step 56 next, but that will have to be next time. Okay, so we've got a few things assembled. There's really not that much left. I'm seeing the end is in sight. The end is in sight. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like the tank that never ends just might be coming to an end. Because I've only got, what, step 56, 57, 8, 9, and 60. 4 more steps. 4 more steps. It's going to take 4 hours, right? I don't know. I really don't know. But it's feeling like it. It's feeling like it. No, honestly, it's been a good build. Everything is going together very nicely. So I really can't complain. It's just a lot of detail and a lot of little things being assembled, right? It's just the way it is. Anyway, I gotta get running. I gotta take off. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I invite you to check out the description box below. See links to my other things like my Twitch and my Instagram, my X channel. Every time I finish a build, I take some pictures of it and I upload it to my Instagram. You can always check me out on Twitch and join me live and talk to me if you feel like it. Otherwise, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and see you all on the next one.